What's up, scrappy peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and we're starting off with two very blankety blank pieces of white cardstock today because we're making some embellishments. It's one of my favourite things to do, and these ones are fun and chaotic to make, and you need no painty skills whatsoever. So come along with me, grab some paints in your favourite colours, and let's just make some stuff. So I'm starting off with two pieces of, it's like printer cardstock. So I think it is 200 is it GSM, GMS? I can't remember, but it's thick. And I'm starting off with that and some acrylic paints. Some of them are good brand, some of them are cheap brand, and it's just a collection. So I wanted to do one page that was all pinky red tones, and so I'm starting off with my palest colour, just because I know that I'll be able to easily overlap on top of it. So I've got, I think it's a Dina Wakley light pink. I've got my good old $2 shop hot pink. This red is actually a gouache. I love the word gouache. It's a fun word to say if you haven't said it before. And it is very thick. It was also a little bit old, and so I did the red. Then I mixed in some white gesso and made this. It's kind of what I would call a rust colour. Rust is actually my favourite colour to wear. So when I saw it, it made me happy, and I decided to put some rust on the other page because I'm going to do some blue, which you'll see in a moment. So this is another gouache, and I added some water to it because she was a bit chunky. I think she's a few years old by now, and I just don't know if the paint is in its peak health condition right now. It's kind of looking a little, like it's not at its peak performance, and it's gone a bit thick. So I watered that down a little bit, and then watered it down even more, and I'm going to do some splatters. Now my paint wasn't some parts were wet, but the splatters were nice and, what word am I looking for, like opaque, because sometimes when you do splats and your paint's not dry, they'll go very dispersed, and that's not really the look I was after for this one. So I'm going in also with some white because I just feel like white brightens everything a little bit. And you can see I've still got gaps on my page. It's very difficult with this blobby style to fill every single gap. But I do try and fill, majority. But the white also breaks it up a little bit. If you wanted to, you could also fill in all of those white gaps too. So there's that page done. And now we're on to the second. So these embellishments probably took me about, all up, about an hour and 45 minutes, and I've sped it up quite fast because there was a lot of repetitive things going on. I am using some more acrylic paint. This blue is another Ranger one of some sort, and I was tempted to try and put a mustardy colour in here, but I didn't. I decided to make them all purplies and blue, so I mixed a bit of the blue with some white and made a periwinkle. And my tip for this is to choose a paintbrush that is, I find a wide-ish brush, so probably like a centimetre wide, and it's a type of paintbrush that is quite thick, and that will make it easier. If you're trying to do this with a paintbrush that is thinner and pointier, it will take a lot longer, and you won't get the same blobby paint feeling. So the paintbrush I'm using is about the size of the blobby bits here. So then I'm going in with my, now what are these called? Are they Gansai? So they've got a name that I can't pronounce. They're from Eckersley's, and they are lovely, but I've completely forgotten about them. And I found them again recently, and so I thought they would be perfect to add in a bit of a paler blue colour. I'm kind of a bit low in my acrylic paints. I've been throwing out my dilutions ones as I find them dried up beyond repair. I've tried adding water. They're just they've been through too many hot summers and cold winters, and they're also, some of them are like 7 or 8 years old, so it's time for them to go. But this page was giving me, especially down the bottom, it was giving me Elsa vibes, and I am in a bit of a Elsa mood at the moment because I just booked tickets for Violet and I and my bestie and her daughter to go see like Frozen live at our local theatre production, and it will be the girls' first time seeing something, you know, live, and they're going to be beyond excited to go. So I was feeling all Elsery, which I think directed my colour there. So now I'm using my Posca paint pen, and I did some little plus signs, and now I'm going in and doing some red hearts. I just felt like it needed something red because the red was very red. I know that sounds silly, but it was just, it stood out a lot from the other colours. And I'm just doing some pale pink splodgies. I'm trying to direct the paler ones, the paler mark making onto the darker colours, and vice versa, the darker mark making, those dark red hearts, onto the pale pink. This took a long time doing this, so it is very sped up because you can't really see it very clearly. I then grabbed a pink, just a normal pink clicky pen. It has a proper name, ballpoint. Is it a ballpoint? Yeah, ballpoint pen. And I just did some little circles and things like that. You don't have to add that detail if you don't want to, but I just feel like it makes the page come together a little bit, and it just makes it, I don't know, I feel like sprinkly bits really add the detail, and splatters do as well. I haven't uploaded that yet. I still have to edit the mixed media favourites video for Let's Get Inky from like a week ago. That was the one that my silly computer corrupted, and then my computer just gave up on all hope and decided not to work anymore. I should have known it was a sign when it corrupted those files, because it's never done that before. I will get that up soon. That will be a video for next week. But I said in that video, which you haven't seen yet, that Posca paint pens are just such a versatile supply for your art stash. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. So I'm adding some purpley bits here, and I have scanned these two backgrounds in, and Patreon peeps, they'll be part of your June printables, which come out on the 30th of this month, as will all of the embellishments that we make. So all of the ones that we make in today's video, I will also scan and include those for you too. So if you're ever interested, the link to my Patreon is in the description. There's lots of things over there, and it's only $15 American for the first month, for every month, but for the first month you can try it for a month and then leave if you're not a fan. There's no lock-in, and you have access to 6 years of videos. I'm up to, how many did we say it was? There's 8 a month, so whatever, 6 12s is 72, 72 times 8, I think it's over 500 now. So there's over 500 videos and over 72 months worth of, or there is 72 months worth of printables to download as well. So for $15, there's a real bang for your buck. And yeah, so if there's any Patreon peeps in the if you want to write something in the comments, what your favorite thing is, that would be a huge help for me, because then I know what things you'd like to see more of as well. So now I grabbed my black pen and I decided to doodle a whole lot of things, doodly, and I based this first one on hearts because you peeps know I love a good heart. Now you can do the same thing with any shape you like. If you want to do all circles so that you can use them for journaling spots and you can use it as a label and journal inside, you could. You could do letters if you wanted to. You could do any sort of shape that your little heart desires. With the offcuts, you can see I'm cutting a few smaller hearts here and there just because I don't have the heart. Pardon the pun there. Oh, I'm so lame. I don't have the heart to throw those little bits of mixed media paper out. So I'm cutting every tiny little heart that I possibly can. And after recording this video, I actually went through my little stash of scraps, which is why I'm throwing them on my desk and not in the actual bin. But I went through and punched out, using my tiny star punch, a whole heap of hearts and stars. So those will be appearing in coming videos, not recent videos, in coming videos. For this page, I wanted to do a few different shapes, so I wanted to try some stars. I love a good wonky star, and also some hearts, of course. Circles, rectangles. I think we do an archway as well, or an oval there, but just a whole bunch of different shapes. And it wasn't until I realized that I did the rust color just on the top half, and that's just because there's some pages that I do where a pop of orange, mostly on a Project Life page actually, where a pop of orange would be nice. It'd be, you know, lovely. It wouldn't stand out too much. But sometimes lately I've been really loving doing layouts that are quite, not monochromatic, but mainly maybe two colors. And I felt like the orange might be too much. And so I did want to do the bottom half of this page with just the blue and the purples without the hit of orange, like this tag here. Tags would be another great one to do a whole page of. I might do some of those again in the future, but this did take a long time to cut all of these out. But you'll see from the end, I didn't even use all of the paper, so I used probably 3/4 of the blue and barely over half of the pink, and I have at least 50 embellishments, if not more. So yeah, there's a lot in doing something like this. And again, all I used were white cardstock and just some kind of cheap acrylic paints. So any sort of paint that you've got at home will do. You could do this on watercolor paper with watercolor as well. I wouldn't probably recommend using watercolor on this cardstock. I just don't think it would take it that well. I still haven't found my watercolor paper from unpacking from the move 6 months ago. It will be in the craft room wardrobe, which is a project that I don't want to deal with yet. So yeah, that's why I didn't do watercolor for today. Then I grabbed that same paper or cardstock I should say, and I just wrote some nice things on it. If you wanted to, you could stamp some things, you could type it if you wanted to on a typewriter or your computer. I didn't do all of them, I just did a handful to show you what it's like. And I also wanted to keep some plain because these are the type of thing that I love to put behind photos as well, and so I didn't feel like everyone needed a phrase. I might go back and add some phrases to some of them before I scan them in for this month's printable collection, but I'll see how I go. This is my favourite out of the whole thing. You are delightful. Yes. But it's just really fun, and it feels very, I don't know, I really enjoy putting DIY embellishments together when there's very easy, clear, set steps to it. And I also love putting the chaotic embellishments together, but these ones where they all have the same look, so it's all the same step. So add a word, add a few hearts, boom, done. And it's a simple process. I love those ones because I can make something without a huge amount of creative mental exertion. Does that make sense? Because I also love to make embellishment clusters where I use, a mix of stickers and pre-made things that I combine together into clusters. And those take a bit more thought because you've kind of got to think what coordinates, what colours go together. Is this embellishment small enough to fit on here? Is it big enough to layer behind? Are they about the same thing? You don't want to put something that's like, I love the outdoors with Santa and, I don't know, a piece of cheese. Those three things in my brain don't go together. So you kind of have to think carefully about what matches, whereas with something like this, it's so easy to combine a phrase, a shape, and some glittery bits on top. So yeah, it's just my little thought on DIY embellishments. I've made a lot over the years. I've made a freaking lot of DIY embellishments. If you love those type of videos, there's a ton on Patreon, and this is another favourite with those multicolored stars. And I would have to say this format of embellishments is my fave. Combined with, and this is going to be a bit of a shock, mega Christmas embellishments. I know. If you've been watching for a long time, you'll know I'm not a fan of Christmas, and I'm not a fan of the mega embellishment. But there's something about when the two of them marry together that is just very satisfying to use in your paper crafting. I made some last year, and they were really, really fun. So I might do some more mega embellishments soon. We'll see. We'll see how we go. I've added these onto my desk. They're waiting to be scanned, but at the moment they're in a bowl on my desk, and that is my recommendation. When you finish making a set of embellies like this, you need to put them in your eyesight, because otherwise they will not get used. They will just hide away for as long as they possibly can. Why are there dogs barking in my neighbourhood? It is late at night. That's always a worry. I really don't like when dogs bark late at night, because I'm like, intruder. I'm sure they're just being dominant to each other over the fence. Maybe two different dogs. I don't know. Ugh. Jazz hands. And we are very jazzy today. Apparently I was feeling I was really liking them. That's why I was feeling extra jazzy. But like I said, all of these will be a part of the June printables on my Patreon, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. There'll be journaling cards and a collage sheet and tiny words and all sorts of bits and bobs. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow with another one. One more week at the Inkie June Marathon. But I hope you have look, we're going up close now. Oh, I'm talking over the music. There's meant to be music now, but you can just pretend it's music. I'm really looking forward to using some of these tiny ones as well. I also love the wave, the love this. I think is one of my favorites too. But you could do this for any color palette you like. It would be great too if you had a specific color scheme, like a football team or Christmas. But I'll see you tomorrow, peeps, and have a fantastic evening. Bye. Oh, my voice broke.